Diddy's last shot at freedom, gone. Completely gone. After all the noise, all the speculation, and those secret whispers about a possible pardon, President Trump has slammed that door shut. Not only did Trump flat out refuse to pardon him, but Diddy's desperate offer to throw $50 million on the table for bail? Rejected. Just like that. And now, with sentencing only weeks away, it's looking like the music mogul who once lived like royalty is about to spend the rest of his life in a prison cell. But here's the real tea. What exactly went down between Diddy and Trump that turned a possible lifeline into a death sentence? Did Diddy cross a line so deep that not even money, fame, or power could buy him forgiveness? And wait, does Diddy have any other trick left up his sleeve to escape what's coming?
Would you consider pardoning him?
Well, he was essentially, I guess, sort of half innocent.
Yes.
I don't know what they do. He's still in jail or something, but he was celebrating a victory, but he seems, I guess it wasn't as good as a victory. Probably, you know, I was very friendly with him. I got along with him great, and seemed like a nice guy. I didn't know him well. But when I ran for office, he was very hostile.
He said some not so nice things about you, sir.
Yeah, and it's hard, you know, like you, we're human beings.
Right.
And we don't like to have things cloud our judgment, right? But when you knew someone and you were fine, and then you run for office and he made some terrible statements. So I don't know, it's more difficult. It makes it more, I'm being honest, it makes it more difficult to do.
But more likely a no for Combs.
The shocking twist. CNN spilled that Diddy's legal team was in quiet talks with Trump's people about securing a presidential pardon. Yep, behind closed doors, moves were being made. But here's where it gets messy. Diddy's own lawyers had been denying it like their lives depended on it. No talks, no deals, they swore. But when the White House itself confirmed the chatter, Diddy's team had no choice but to admit the truth. His lawyer, Mark Agnafalo, went on record saying Diddy himself instructed him, talk to Trump, tell him I need a pardon. Can you imagine that? The same Diddy who spent years acting untouchable, suddenly begging Trump for mercy.
House official declined to comment on, quote, speculation and told us any decision on pardons would come from the president himself. Combs' attorney, Mark Agnifilo, said he has not talked to the Trump administration about it. You mean to tell me that you really have nothing to do with a possible pardon right now?
Nothing. I have nothing to do with a possible pardon.
What is Sean Combs saying about the possibility of a pardon?
I think he knows I'm not political. We've never discussed it other than I tell him what's in the news about it. But you know.
And what's his reaction? Does he laugh? Does he say, let's look into it? What does he say?
Go tell him that I need a pardon. Go tell him I deserve a pardon. That's what he said.
How are you preparing him?
So I mean, I tell him what the guidelines are. You know, and the guidelines are about 2 or 3 years. And I tell him, you know, the judge could go above the guidelines.
Do you have any regrets in how you tried this case?
It's a good question. Not really. Not really.
You called the relationship between Combs and Ventura a great modern love story. Ventura says she was raped, physically abused, and became addicted to drugs because of Combs.
I think that's what makes it, we vehemently deny. And I know, I respect that she said that. I don't think the jury concluded that that happened. In terms of the, you know, the drugs and the other stuff, I think that's what makes it a modern love story. I think she very much loved him, and I know he very much loved her.
Cassie Ventura's attorney told us that Agnifilo's description of the relationship is a, quote, complete disgrace and affront to survivors.
And believe it or not, for a hot second, it seemed like it might actually happen. Trump, during one of his press interviews, admitted that he and Diddy used to be tight. He even hinted that he'd look into it. Trump said Diddy was sort of half innocent, like he wanted to give him a little credit. But let's be real, even Trump's half praise felt backhanded, like he was dangling hope just to snatch it away later.
Was a good friend of yours back then. He has since found himself in some very serious legal trouble.
Yeah, that's true.
Would you ever consider pardoning him?
Well, nobody's asked. You had to be the one to ask, Peter, but nobody's asked. But I know people are thinking about it. I know they're thinking about it. I think some people have been very close to asking. First of all, I'd look at what's happening, and I haven't been watching it too closely, although it's certainly getting a lot of coverage. I haven't seen him. I haven't spoken to him in years. He used to really like me a lot, but I think when I ran for politics, that relationship busted up from what I read. I don't know, he didn't tell me that, but I'd read some little bit nasty statements in the paper all of a sudden, you know. It's different. You become a much different person when you run for politics and you do what's right. I could do other things, and I'm sure he'd like me, and I'm sure other people would like me, but it wouldn't be as good for our country. As we said, our country's doing really well because of what we're doing. So it's not a popularity contest. So, I don't know, I would certainly look at the facts. If I think somebody was mistreated, whether they like me or don't like me, it wouldn't have any impact on me.
The final thing I want to say is this. I asked Joe Tacopina, what about Trump's comment? What does it do to the jury? And he thought it was a nightmare for Diddy that Donald Trump said this. And the reason he thinks that is when the jury goes into deliberations, they could end up saying, look, I mean, even if we convict him, because we kind of think he's guilty, we're not sure he's guilty, but if we find him guilty, he's probably going to get pardoned because Trump...
But here's where it gets juicy. People close to Diddy claim this wasn't anything new. Whispers about a pardon have been circling for years. Suge Knight himself once said Diddy had been cozying up to the feds, feeding them info and getting protection in return. That's why Puffy, Diddy, was always so bold about his shady dealings. He acted like nothing could touch him, and for the longest time he was right. He played the game like he had a shield. But baby, that shield is cracking.
Do you think he's going to be all right because someone's going to tamper with the jury? Is that what you're trying to say?
He got enough influence, and I'm quite sure, don't seem like the prosecution is that bad against him. Don't seem like I think he got some favors with the government. I think they're going to show him a little leeway. It might not seem like it when it's all said and done, but I don't think he has nothing to worry about. I don't think he's worried because he's going to be federal. And if he get convicted, Trump's going to pardon him. So, what's the worry?
You think the President of the United States would pardon Sean Combs for trap?
Shit, he pardoned Michael Harris, who allegedly killed a Jewish teenager, or had him. So they don't care about that. It's all about, what's in it for the long run and what the bucks say and what the power of the people want.
How does it go on for so long? When we were on the street, we didn't get a day's rest. I mean, the government was all over us. The FBI is all over us. They got investigations on us. They got informants. They got surveillance equipment.
But he was not cutting you off, but he was an informant for years.
Was he really?
Yeah. That's why when people was like, oh, you're going to run, oh, he's not. It's the reason why these type of people get caught up. They always been telling they're bigger than the law because they part of the law. And as you know, all these people get targeted.
And now, it's blowing up in his face. Trump might forgive, sure, but forget, never. Let's not forget, back when Trump first ran for president, Diddy waged a full-on hate campaign against him. He even launched his own political party just to throw shade. And now Trump is clapping back, saying those very words and moves from years ago are making it very hard for him to even consider a pardon. Revenge, anyone?
Not too serious of a point. Seeing what's going on, white men like Trump need to be banished. That way of thinking is real dangerous. This man literally threatened the lives of us and our families about going to vote.
Stand back and stand by.
Stand back and stand by.
Yeah.
We're in a war. We're not taking this like it's a war. We're taking this like, oh, we're in a presidential election. No, we're in a war of love versus hate. The number one priority is to get Trump out of office. The tribe of people that have the responsibility and really should be scared to death of this man is white people.
Explain.
If this man is elected, we're not standing by no more getting killed. We're not scared of anybody standing up and standing by. We're on the verge of a race war.
But hold up, because there's another player in this drama, 50 Cent. Oh yes, 50 has been stirring the pot like only he can. The moment news broke that Diddy might score a pardon, 50 went into overdrive, flooding social media with old clips of Diddy trashing Trump. Tweet after tweet, he basically screamed, "Yo, Trump, don't let this guy off the hook. Remember what he said about you." One tweet even read, "See, Trump don't like this, buddy. You run your mouth too much, classic 50. Petty, relentless, and cutting right to the heart."
Like Trump need to be banished. Trump gets elected, I really do believe in my heart there'll be a race war. That's why this message is not just to black people. You know what I'm saying? This message is to everybody.
This man is really trying to turn us against each other and put us in a situation. America messed up.
Trump even called him a good friend on a 2012 episode of his TV show The Apprentice. Problem is, some comments Diddy made about Trump in recent years as Diddy really entered the political realm. There was a video where he's speaking to radio host Charlemagne saying, if Trump gets elected, I really do believe in my heart there'll be a race war. In another video on Revolt, he says white men like Trump need to be banished. And by the way, you know who's not letting anyone forget this? Combs' rival 50 Cent. Took to social media recently, wrote, see, Trump don't like S like this, buddy, you run your mouth too much. And Donald doesn't take well to disrespect and doesn't forget who chooses to go against him. While working tirelessly to make America great again, there is no room for distraction. He would consider pardoning anyone who was being mistreated, not Puff Daddy. And let me tell you, the idea of Trump pardoning Diddy is not getting a ton of love out there.
And get this, industry insider Gandil had already called it. A whole year ago, he said there was no way Trump was going to pardon Diddy. They weren't friends like that anymore, and Trump sure wasn't about to risk the massive backlash of saving a man people are labeling a monster. To Trump, Diddy's disrespect was unforgivable. Sources close to the former president even said Trump felt humiliated by Diddy's past words and decided, nope, not sticking my neck out for him.
How do you feel about the people that feel like Trump, he might pardon Diddy? First of all, he got to be charged and be in prison to be pardoned. You got to realize that the feds could take this case for 2, 3, maybe 4 years, and Trump will be out of office. You don't know how long the feds are gonna go on with this. You understand what I'm saying? You hear people talking crazy talk, well, they ain't got nothing because, man, I've seen the dude set behind bars for 2 years before he had his trial with the feds. And by the time a pardon come in, another year would come by. So that's just a whole lot of propaganda. Puff wasn't even fucking with Trump like that no more. He was going against Donald Trump. Donald Trump is petty as 50 Cent. Do you understand that? You see how petty 50 is? Donald Trump is just as petty as 50, bro. And he gonna look at it and say, yo, why should I help this motherfucker when he talking shit about me? The diddler. I seen them in a meeting together before. Al Sharpton, Wendy Williams, Puff Daddy, and Donald Trump at the Four Seasons Hotel downtown. And I'm sure he was telling them because all this shit is planned, bro. Yo, you know I'm gonna be president one day. I'm gonna need y'all support. But they flipped. You understand what I'm saying? They flipped. Because everybody was dealing with Donald Trump at one time. That was in the music record business and all that stuff like that. So my whole thing about it is, all that shit is propaganda, bullshit. It's just having somebody, they need something to talk about. Donald Trump probably wouldn't on Puff if he was on.
Trump, he spoke on giving Puffy a pardon. You heard what he said about it?
He still would have, if he pardoned Diddy, as far as I know, he would still have to go through the process. I don't think Trump is just gonna send the marshals or the Department of Justice, teach them over there to the fucking jail, yo, get Diddy out. And when he had friends that went to jail. Remember, he had friends that went to jail who worked for him, who did some shit. What did he do? They went through the same process that every person go through in giving a pardon. And that might take a year, that may take 2 years. But he's gonna have to go through the process first because I don't think Trump is gonna show him any special favors for him not going through the process. So if Trump said that he may pardon him, he might still have to do a year, 9 months, or even longer than that. And I don't believe he is. I think 50 gonna be right there in his ear. And I think 50 is closer than Trump.
Comes after a previous bail request for $1 million was also denied following the verdict. A federal judge ruled there was no evidence to suggest Combs doesn't pose a danger to others or the community. With these latest developments, Combs will remain in jail until his sentencing on October 3rd.
Now, prosecutors put in an opposition to Diddy's bail request, and the prosecutors say they're actually looking for a more lengthy sentencing than what they originally thought. In this opposition, the prosecution is laying out the fact that the judge already denied Diddy's bail for being a violent person, and they hone in even more into Diddy's alleged violence against people. Prosecutors are saying that Diddy has actually been lying when he said that he didn't commit violence between his breakup with Cassie Ventura in 2018 up until 2024 with his incident with Jane. Let's go ahead and jump right into this motion. The government says despite the court's clear ruling that the defendant must be detained pending sentencing following his conviction on 2 felony counts, the defendant moves again for bail. The defendant's detention pending sentencing is mandatory. There is no exceptional circumstances justifying his release. Even if there were, the defendant cannot demonstrate by clear and convincing evidence that he is not a danger to the community. This court properly denied the defendant's request for bail on July 2nd of 2025, and the defendant has failed to present any reason for the court to reconsider its ruling. The court should deny the defendant's motion on this again on that basis alone, but then they get into listing more reasons. The defendant has failed to meet the strict standard for reconsideration. As an initial matter, the defendant's motion is untimely under Rule 49 because the motion was filed 27 days after the court's July 2nd, 2025 bail determination. The defendant fails to meet Rule 49, which is a 14-day deadline. Go on to say that Diddy has failed to show any exceptional reasons why he should be released on bail.
But even if Trump had played savior, let's be honest, it wouldn't have saved Diddy overnight. A pardon only comes after you've already stepped inside the prison gates. That process alone can drag out for a year or more. And guess what? A year inside for Diddy could be deadly. With his street reputation, prison isn't just jail time, it's open season. Plenty of enemies are itching for revenge, and being locked up would put Diddy right in their crosshairs. And as if things weren't already spiraling, prosecutors are now gunning for an even longer sentence. Word is the judge may completely ignore federal guidelines and slap Diddy with way more time than he ever expected. The guidelines don't cap his punishment. It's all about what the judge decides is fit. And with the mess surrounding him, the judge isn't exactly in a forgiving mood. Meanwhile, Diddy's lawyers? Desperate doesn't even begin to describe them. They've filed for bail again. 5th time's the charm, they hoped. This time, they went all out. A $50 million bond package backed by his flashy Miami mansion, passport surrender, strict travel bans, 0 internet or phone access, and house arrest under private security. Basically, Diddy was saying, wait, please, just let me rot in luxury instead of a cell. But deep down, everyone knows, if Diddy ever got a taste of freedom, he'd vanish faster than smoke in the wind. And guess what? The court wasn't buying it. To them, Diddy is a straight-up flight risk. His reputation, his power, his history of violence, it all screams danger. Even Cassie's lawyer and her friend Deontay Nash stepped in, filing public letters begging the judge not to grant him bail. They made it clear, if Diddy gets out, he's coming straight for those who testified against him. And who's at the top of that list? Cassie. The fear is real. If he walks free, her life is on the line. And just when you thought the circus couldn't get any wilder, Diddy's lawyers started spinning a brand new tactic. They want the entire case thrown out. Their argument that Diddy never actually participated in the infamous freak-offs himself. They claim he only stood on the sidelines watching while others carried it out. Like, excuse me? Watching and directing doesn't make him innocent. It makes him the ringleader. If he wasn't guilty, who was? That defense is laughable at best, insulting at worst. But wait, it gets darker. A fresh lawsuit just landed, and it's not just Diddy caught in the crossfire. His own son, Justin Combs, is being dragged into this one. The accusations? Chilling. A woman claims she was lured to Los Angeles back in 2017 with promises of a job. Instead, she says she was held prisoner for an entire weekend and brutally assaulted by both Diddy and Justin. That's not just scandal. That's a nightmare, and it's stacking on top of everything else already crushing him. So here we are, Trump's pardon off the table. The court denying bail left and right. Prosecutors demanding harsher punishment, and now lawsuits dragging his family deeper into the abyss. For years, Diddy strutted like nothing could touch him, like money and fame were shields. But those shields are shattered. The man once seen as untouchable is now staring at a future darker than anyone could have imagined. And here's the million-dollar question. Do you think Diddy deserves a second chance? Or should he really spend the rest of his life behind bars? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell because you know this story is far from over.